So the Gen Z have been talking about the frog in the pond. Okay? And they're saying, we bwana.
There's no pond left.
Unakunywa maji yote. What do you mean? And there's been all these conversations. So, yeah, on Tuesday, the president signed the IEBC bill into law, and he was flanked by the opposition leaders. The leaders of Azimio, Raila Odinga, party leader, ODM, Kalonzo Musyoka, party leader, Wiper, Moses Wetangula, party leader, Ford Kenya, Musalia Mudavadi, former party leader of the now dissolving.
No longer party. Called? ANC.
It's still ANC.
See, that was his party.
It is still ANC. Okay, yeah. Wiper, not Wiper, Maendeleo Chap leader.
Folding.
Is Maendeleo folding?
No.
Maendeleo Chap leader was there as well. Dr. Alfred Mutua. The leader of PA, the Speaker of the Senate, was there. You know, all those leaders were there. And the leaders, after this public signing ceremony, they went somewhere into a room and they sat in these comfortable chairs and they emerged and said, you know what, we have discussed and we've seen what we need in this country right now at this juncture is consensus among leaders. And we have come to a consensus that we need to have a talk as a country. And this talk, we've actually agreed, even on the structure of this talk, basic framework. Let us have 150 people coming together to talk for a week. From these 150 people, 50 slots, let them go to the youth. Okay? And this is 100. Let's bring in religious leaders, political leaders, business leaders. What else do we have leaders in? Business, religious, political?
Law?
Industry,
law.
Business.
The law, legal, judiciary, something.
They call it professional associations,
okay, there you
right?
go. Professional associations, yes.
Them come in.
Politicians.
Political leaders here. And let's talk, okay? And then the youth said, talk what? Talk what?
To who? Where?
What are to bong? We are not bonging. We are not bonging. We're bonging what with you? No, there are things that you need to do, bwana. It's like landlord has come asking for rent, and sasa wacha tufanye hivi kesho. Tukae hapa, tukae chini, tujadiliane. Talk what, my friend? Rent.
You owe money, pay.
Hey, then we talk.
You stay in my house, later. You pay rent. That is the agreement we have with you. That's the arrangement.
That's what connects us here.
Yeah. You talk. You unajua sasa hata watoto wangu wako shule.
Sawa.
Watoto ni wako ama ni wangu? Okay. Sasa watu unajua. So now we are seeing other talks. ODM top leadership met yesterday and they have endorsed the talk. The Raila Odinga-led ODM has backed calls for national dialogue announced by President Ruto on Tuesday. This came even as Raila said he had received reports from a section of ODM leaders that a majority of Kenyans were against a possible handshake with the president. I don't know whether that's what the leaders went to tell Raila. It was about handshake or talk. He posted on X, nimeambiwa na hawa viongozi kwamba mumesema hamtaki handshake. Ujumbe umefika. He made the post after his party sanctioned dialogue barely a day after Ruto called for a broad-based political arrangement, lending some credence to reports that the president was planning to co-opt Raila's troops into his administration. Dr. Ruto and Mr. Odinga are pushing for national dialogue under the proposed National Multi-Sectoral Forum that will be held for 6 days starting Monday. There are reports that President Ruto is mulling a government of national unity and might consider bringing opposition figures into the government as a way of the political crisis triggered by the protests led by the Gen Z. ODM National Chairman John Mbadi said the party supports the talks to address underlying issues. Raila Odinga always helps the country pull back from the precipice whenever we find ourselves there. There can be no doubt that as a country, we are at a crossroads and approaching a precipice. One of us has to be magnanimous and patriotic enough to help call the country to order. The party leader has spoken. I have also had a chance to meet and speak with him to explore the matter further. We are in agreement that his call is in the best interest of the country and will help address the emerging issues in a structured and coordinated manner. That is what John Mbadi said. On the other side, Wiper Democratic Movement Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka has said he is not interested in joining hands with the Kenya Kwanza government as he does not want to be associated with Ruto's administration. So Kalonzo is also saying no to handshake. Raila has said, "Mmesema mtaki handshake, nimesikia bwana. Sikuwa nimesema handshake mimi." Let me continue.
Okay.
The former vice president dismissed talks that the opposition outfit Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party is warming up to an idea of a government of national unity. Speaking during a Wiper National Executive Committee meeting at the party's headquarters in Nairobi yesterday, Musyoka said the coalition will soon convene and make it categorical to its leader, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, that Kenyans do not want to be associated with Ruto. We will tell him that Kenyans do not want dialogue. We do not want to be seen to be sanitizing a regime that has failed. So Kalonzo says, we will tell him Kenyans do not want dialogue. Yesterday, Kalonzo also took a swipe at the National Police Service for using excessive force and saying we cannot be abducting, killing and destroying the lives of our future leaders. So Kalonzo is basically saying no to talks. ODM has said yes to talks. Is that what your understanding of these two stories?
Not exactly.
Okay, story number one. What do you understand?
Question.
Okay, ask a question.
Perhaps this will bring about what I understand.
Yeah.
These people who say that, okay, Kalonzo who said, no, I'm not interested, whomever, whatever. Was this after the fact? Was this after the grandstanding and the podium and whatever, where people stood one behind the other and then they retreated to themselves later and then now came out when they saw or perceived the backlash that came as a result of that announcement? Is that now when these divergent views now came up? Who are they? Kalonzo Musyoka, who else said something? And then finally with Raila Odinga himself saying, okay, you guys don't want to talk, it's okay. Did this happen after the fact when they saw that, people said, hey, who are you? Or was it after?
So we do not know when they retreated into that meeting, into that boardroom where they were all sat there. The president was there, the ODM leader was there, the Wiper leader was there, the Speaker of the National Assembly was there, Speaker of the Senate was there, and other party leaders. And then they emerged under the steps of KICC. They said, you know what? We are going to have a national dialogue for broad-based political arrangement, and this is the announcement that was made by the president, and other leaders spoke. We don't know whether Kalonzo had voted yes, whether there was a vote, whether it was by secret ballot, by division, by
or whether
acclamation.
he had agreed in the whatever meeting.
Sometimes votes happen by acclamation. Well, as many as of say aye, and that's the time when Kalonzo was yawning, so his voice didn't come out. And the eyes have it. And he can say, no, vote imepita, boss. So now he was voicing, after meeting with the party leadership yesterday. You see, that was Kalonzo. Mm-hmm. He goes and meets with the party leadership, the National Executive Committee of Wiper. Wiper's leadership, NEC, says no to dialogue. And they tell Kalonzo, your mama will go and say, why? ODM chairman has released a statement on behalf of the party and says, yes. Okay? The ODM party says yes to dialogue. Wiper party says no to dialogue.
And they're part of a coalition.
Yes.
So now one must ask, at this point, does the coalition matter?
Remember, other members of this coalition include DAP-K, who said we are not boarding.
Mm-hmm. Kitambo.
Jubilee, who said, hii kitu hii hapa hii ni ukora. Kenya hapana shukari ati wewe ukira baraba kwa mkono. Martha Karua said,
no. Who?
Forget about
Not
miss
happening.
me with that ish. So Azimio, haina
already
Azimio.
from the very beginning, almost from the beginning of this, it was already disjointed. It was
Azimio,
segmented.
haina Azimio.
Okay. So then one must ask, if we go back to the proverbial question, is this a party issue or an individual who guides the party issue?
Okay.
I think they've missed the point completely.
Mm-hmm.
Who's they?
Raila, Ruto.
See, now you're naming individuals, isn't it?
Yes, Kalonzo, they've missed the point completely. They are going about doing business as usual, where they talk, they decide, they tell people what they think, and then people are supposed to try.
They've given each other positions,
and then they say, okay, now everybody now fall in. And they forget we are having these conversations not because they disagreed. We have these conversations because there's a group of Kenyans we're now referring to as Gen Zs and Millennials who said, we don't want business as usual. Exactly. I have not heard in this conversation, it ought to have been, in my opinion, look, this bill you're talking about, okay, we've signed it. Why don't we ask these constituents, referred to as the Gen Zs, what they think about the topic of a dialogue?
Yeah.
Let's ask them. They decided, as they usually decide.
And they also decided the number.
Yes, they decided.
The venue.
And if I was a Gen Z, I'd be asking,
come to us.
We are more than you. Why are you giving us 50?
Okay, but let me ask you, Siti,
yes.
what would the problem... Because I tried to figure it out as I was reading these things, and I said, what is it? Are you not hearing
these
what people are saying?
Not changed.
Or do you think that in your thinking that it doesn't matter what new thing will come or what agitation will come, you are grounded, cemented in this position, and you're not going to move?
This is
for
now
anything.
the tyranny of habit. This is how they're used to doing business, and they're doing it. Okay, we've given concession. See this bill, IBC, we've signed. Okay, we've given. Now let's go back to business as usual. Now we are going to have this dialogue.
We're going to sit in Bomas,
and we are going to have 150,000, whatever it is, and 150 only number, and we are going to have 100 of the people we choose, and we are going to tell you to come, and we are going to
talk with us.
Come 50 of you.
Yes, and first come, first serve, and we are going to. And at what?
The folks said, it's okay, we'll meet in the streets.
And we are going to do what again?
In the streets.
Say, at what point were we included in this discussion?
You're coming to tell us come Monday.
Yeah. So essentially, you'll be told what you do, that meeting you arrange. So you want to have the meeting, you carry on and have your meeting.
You have your meeting.
And those other 100 you said you're going to bring in, you have them and have your meeting.
But I keep asking this question, CT.
Yes.
These are leaders who have gotten to where they are because one would assume they listened to the ground. Or did they get to a point where they actually started talking to the ground more than listening to the ground?
They get to a point where they talk to themselves.
Because one would assume that, Raila is always listening to what does the ground want? What does the ground want? Ruto, what does the ground want? This is how he got to where he has gotten because
and then he got there. Then what happened?
Then he started listening to himself.
Yes, because when you choose leaders, remember, let me walk you through this.
Okay.
Let's start with Kenyatta 1. There was a group that had decided that they want to bring in a conversation of succession. A gentleman called Kimani was among those people, all right? It took the intervention of the Attorney General then, called Njonjo, to say, something, according to our laws, even if you think or imagine, the death of a president is treason, think or imagine. That was his contribution. Okay? We then come to the Moi government, and there's clamor for multipartyism. Everywhere the president went, there were multitudes, throngs of people.
Many people.
And I am certain. Do you really think that the people who are around Moi, his key advisors, told him, bro, these people think you're a ruthless dictator? Okay? Do you really think they told him, you, bro, Haki, you're not really liked?
So what are you saying?
I am saying, come to Kibaki.
We are told that Moi would be up at 3 a.m. calling all the PCs, and then he'd speak to various people, right? Across the country. He has somebody in...
He had special administrators whom he spoke to. You'd have a DC in Nakuru called Zakayo Yugi whom he spoke to, and yet there was a PC called Haji.
So he's asking that person, what is the ground saying? Because that's what he's asking.
Okay.
So not asking
no, but those are not his chief advisors. Then there are those now.
This cabal of
people who talk to him. The PCs may tell him because they're given information, but then again you doubt. You know why? When you have an autocrat, you are sometimes cautious about what you tell them. And I'll give the reason why. Like in Moi, there was a man called Simi Nyachai, who was the Minister of Finance. He dared tell the country we're broke. He told them, we don't have money. Did he last? He was given Ministry of Agriculture, which is not very far from Ministry of... Kwenda ulime pesa. What are you telling people? If you have a history of leaders who feel the president should be told news which they consider to be bad. It means they tell the president what suits them. Kibaki didn't escape from it. Our presidents don't escape from this. And part of it has to do with the people they choose. How many presidents do you know of who have people who willingly tell them, bro, haki hii umekosa kabisa, kabisa, kabisa? How many? So if you are surrounded by people who end up telling you things that you want to hear or they think will suit their purposes, and no president is exempt from this, unless you have a second tier of information. And that second tier, I would argue, is what now you saw coming into play, because in Moi's time, I think they were there. You know why? And in Kibaki's time, a mistake was made, he changed. He changed. Something that most people don't do. He changed. The thing that you didn't think he would do, he did.
So there was the kitchen cabinet that would sit down with him and tell him,
bro,
we shall lose. It's not you.
No, we shall lose. And he had ignored them because there were other people telling him something. And then when he realized things are bad, he said, Apana, come, these guys were telling me the truth all along. Remember, President Moi used to rehabilitate people. You had been kicked aside and realized, what this guy was telling me was,
you repackage him.
Please, Rudy. But misunderstanding. Now, we are seeing a situation where a very monumental thing has happened in this country. And those we know to be our leaders don't seem to have understood it fully. Because if they had, they would not have been making plans for people who don't want plans made for them. That is a colossal error. You are not even inviting them to the table to talk about this, to ask, guys, okay, maybe you don't want to come to the table, but tell us, this is what we're thinking. What is your input?
I think that therein lies the problem. That there's no effort, really, to understand, okay, guys, if there is a blank canvas, how exactly shall we paint this thing? You've basically said, well, we've already painted the picture. You just come and
we know
add
how to
some
paint picture. We've been doing this for a long time.
You've assigned yourself the role.
Yes.
Right? And you assume that always you're the solution. Because
these guys are accessories.
Look at the statement by John Baddy. John Baddy says, Event or peace statement. Oh, I'm reading the wrong page. I was about to start reading
the wrong newspaper.
The statement by John Baddy says, Raila Odinga always helps the country pull back from the precipice whenever we find ourselves there. When you guys are about to blow up the country, Raila is the one who comes and tells you, shh, Chenyu Posey. There can be no doubt that as a country, we are at a crossroads. There can be no doubt that you people have done the stupid things that you keep doing again. One of us has to be magnanimous and patriotic enough to help call the country to order. Raila has to play his role again.
Surely, you guys. He has to come in and help you guys again.
Because you have done your stupidity again. You're about to burn this country. And Raila has just come back to do the thing that he keeps doing all the time.
I think there's a combination of loss of the senses here.
Right.
Sight, hearing, sensibility, we're going to be called the sixth or seventh sense. But all of them, there seems to be a problem here when these senses are not being engaged and listening to what people, because, you know, there's a certain level of fed-upness also that's playing out in Kenya today, where people are saying, you know what, guys, this has got to stop. When we're talking about poor governance, when we're talking about this very same attitude whereby you think that there's just a small cabal of people who have all the answers, or they're the ones who are going to go shake hands. As they shake hands in the little room, then they're going to come out and tell Kenyans, we have sorted out this issue. Sorted out the issue. So you guys are okay. And Kenyans are saying, no, it's got to stop. Whereby we all have to be part of this conversation. And we're saying, you know what? There are certain things that we see you doing right now, even before you want to come and bonga with us.
We are not bonging.
We're not bonging. I think that needs to be made a thing. But you need to stop it. You have ministers in cabinet, CSs rather, who are doing certain things that we say absolutely not. There are certain things that you have not sorted out. How about you sort out those issues, and then in the meantime, we're not talking to you.
There's something else also that's happening. Remember when we had a conversation with the ODM Secretary General yesterday, Edwin Sifuna, on the side? They said, you know what? I am a leader of a political party, and I hear also from the members of this party, there are people who want to bonga. There are people who see that bonging is a solution. Whether they're in ODM, they're in Wiper, They are independent. There may be people in the country who see bonging as a solution right now. That they support the call for the dialogue in whatever form it has been called by the president or another form. That bonging is the way to go. Maybe we should just ask the people, all right? Callers, 0719-012-600 after this break. That's 0719-012-600. Bonging or not bonging?
To bong or not to bong?
To bong or not to bong? It's the question. We'll be back shortly. Good morning. The question this morning is, are you bonging or are you not bonging? The president has called for a bonga conversation.
The bonga point.
A bonga session. 150 people to congregate at the Bomas of Kenya from Monday to have a conversation, representing multi-sectoral, multi-disciplinary, multi-stakeholder, those many things, right? And there are those who are saying yes to bonging, and there are those who are saying no to bonging. I read some of those comments on YouTube.
Okay, I wonder the dialogue. Is it to have 50 Gen Z and 100 of who we don't know, but one is to assume they're the government? Then what about our women and the disabled veterans? What are you talking about? We need new charismatic leaders, not based on tribalism and deception like KK and Azimio. Talks have been happening with no results. Why are we still talking? Actions speak louder than bonging. We are not bonging. Bonging with the same guys who have been in power forever? No bonging. No bonging without justice. Why are they killing us? Why hasn't cabinet been dissolved? Parliament too. No bonging. No bonging. Let them do their job. If they can't, they should simply retire. I'm very disappointed with Raila and Co, says Brian Oginga. Like we said, we are not bonging. In fact, those are the t-shirts we need to print on Tuesday. They said.
No bonging.
No bonging. We've done a thing real quick. No problem with dialogue, but who are you bonging with? The political class is set on its ways, and dialogue is their knocking. In their knocking the can down the road. The basic hasn't even been done for us to even start the talks. I'm even wondering how Azimio became part of the bonging. Good, we know now that they are birds of the same feather protecting their interests.
What?
Bonging.
So far, we have not seen any bonging supporter.
No.
Okay. So we want to go to the phone lines. 0719-012-600. That's 0719-012-600. The question this morning is, are you bonging or not? The president has called for a bonging session next week. 150 members of the or representatives of various sectors focusing on various issues affecting the country, including poor governance, corruption, tribalism, youth unemployment, and ballooning public debt. This was arrived at after a meeting on Tuesday between the president and the opposition leaders, among them Raila Odinga and others at KICC. They decided the number of people and they decided the issues.
Yeah.
And the issues, according to them, is poor governance, corruption, tribalism, youth unemployment, and ballooning public debt. Okay? Those are the issues for bonging. Are we bonging or not? Ednah, are we able to pick callers? Ama iko na shida kidogo? Ednah, tuchukue simu? Ama iko shida? Imehang? Allah? Oh, this thing of mine is actually showing me a different channel. All right, hold on. Read a couple of them.
Okay. So what else are we talking about here? It's, quite clearly, no to bonging. Bonging is not going to happen. It continues. Bonging with the same guys who have been in power forever? No. I'm very disappointed. Tuko CBD already for the peaceful and unnamed demonstrations calling for good governance and accountability. The dignity of our future generations will not be stolen as we watch. We don't want dialogue. We want actions. They pretend they haven't heard what we want, so they need to hear what we want. They know what we want. They just don't want to be forced to do the right thing, says Justin Kiarie.
Okay.
And it goes on and on.
Let me pick the callers now. Michael Linkisumu, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Eric.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. And how are you, my sister?
I'm very well, thank you. Good morning.
Michael, as we move faster, yes to bonging or no to bonging?
No bonging.
Why?
Hashtag no bonging.
Why?
We are operating under the new normal. The old normal is gone. This is what we've been talking all along without action.
Okay. So what do you want if not bonging?
There is a list of demands that must be met.
Okay.
Remember, Ruto created 28 unconstitutional CAS officers. You know, that is budgeted corruption.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you work the salary of these people, 780 times around 28, it comes to around 260 something million shillings that you are wasting monthly that can be put into something else productive that can develop the country.
Okay, so no bonging.
So no bonging until demands are met.
Thank you, Michael. Dennis in Kiambu, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Bonging or no bonging?
No bonging.
Why?
Because first of all, if we look at how we have reached at this point is because of bonging every time. And even for finance bill, I think there was a lot of bonging before then. And we ended up doing like demonstration. So we want action. And also we have paid these people a lot of money, or rather even wage bill for the government is quite high. So they should think by themselves. They probably know how to, or rather what things to deal with.
We pay them to
corruption.
think.
Yeah, we pay them to think. So they go and think on how to deal with corruption, how to deal with all this. We want more action.
Thank
and
you.
faster action.
Thank you, Dennis. From Kiambu, let's go to Nakuru. Newton, good morning. Newton, iko shida hapo kwa your line. Ras G in Embakasi.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning, Latiff. How are you?
Very well. Bonging or no bonging?
We are not bonging. This is Gian Wahome, aka Ras G.
Why
Na
not?
tunasema no bonging.
Why not?
Sasa, why not? Very good. Now, you've seen where we've come a long way with the dialogues. This country has been dialoguing. It has dialogued. We dialogued. We came in with a document in 2007 called the National Accord. The people who sat there were not the young people who are demanding for jobs, manielewa, good governance, good accountability. It is only leaders who sat there. We came in 2012, 17. We saw Uhuru and Raila, another dialogue, another handshake. What happened? Leaders sat down there. They are the ones who benefited. That was another dialogue. Now, we are being told in this dispensation, when things are changing, when a revolution is sweeping all across the entire Africa, instead of people fixing matters to do with accountability and governance, because that is all we are asking, Latin. There's nothing else we are asking for.
Okay.
People should differentiate between politics and governance and leadership. Now, the only thing, the thing that this administration has done, it has never come to realize imetoka siasa na iko kazini. And that is the problem we are having with these guys. As we talk today, Lati, you cannot be telling this population, this young population, ati tunawatafutia kazi na huko nje, tumetafuta kazi huko Gal, mutaenda kukua 1, 2, 3. You see what is happening in Gal. Imagine justifying what you had promised the young people of this nation, that in 100 days, I'm going to do this and this. And then unakuja sahi, unaanza kutuambia story ya tunaenda huko nje. Latif, we are not going to relent.
Thank you.
And
thank you, Rasji.
Lastly, Latif, these talks we are being told that people can converge somewhere and negotiate. When young people shed their blood in the street, we are not going to accept that, Latif. Let William shape up or shape out.
Thank you, Rasji. Renson Ngong, and the conversation we're having this morning for those who are joining us is with regards to the national dialogue that has been called by President William Ruto, a multi-sectoral, multi-stakeholder conversation to happen from Monday next week. And he says even after he met with the opposition leaders at KICC on Tuesday, they agreed, let's have this conversation. 150 representatives from various sectors. They'd focus on various issues, and they even came up with the issues. And those issues include poor governance, corruption, tribalism, youth unemployment, and ballooning public debt. And the conversation and the question we are asking, so the president says, kujeni tubonge. We are asking, mnataka kubonga, hama utaki kubonga? Bonging or no bonging? Renson Ngong, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
How are you?
All right.
Bonging or no bonging?
No bonging.
Why?
The guy called for 150 people.
Yep.
How many MPs do we have?
MPs?
349. 349.
They can do all the talking.
Yeah.
And those are our biggest problems. They can, if they're not beholden to the executive, they would help us fix the executive and all the other problems we are having. But I would say simply, we don't want to have a loquacious country. Always talking, doing nothing.
Thank you.
And we know, you are specifying the problems very well. We know the solutions. Why do we need to discuss them? We've been doing it for the last how many years? I don't know.
Many. Thank you, Ranson. Let's hear from others. Amos in Nairobi.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning to you.
No bonging.
No bonging. Why?
Yes, the reason being, everything which has been requested by the Gen Zs, I don't think there is anything which is out of reach. What we expect to be told is that these were the demands, and this is what I've done so far, and this is the plan I have to do in future. Because now I'm trying to imagine what are we supposed to be dialoguing. Yesterday, he talked of the protest being funded by the foreigners. Now, the question is, are they real, whatever is being discussed? Are they real? And if they're real, irrespective of whether they're being funded or not, what we need is the outcome. If it is corruption, it's something which is within reach. If it is jobs, the affordable housing and everything, it's something which is within reach. What we need is the report.
Okay.
These are the requests which you did, and this is what I've done, and this is what I'm still doing. At least if they can convince, then we can retreat, we can say at least there is a goodwill, and we can see something is happening, now we can give them time. But as it stands, even then they're not sure. You want to bonga with those people are not even sure of what they're doing.
Thank you, Amos. Let's go to Mombasa. Ocheng.
Yes, sir.
Bonging or no bonging?
People should talk.
Okay.
Because hata wanaongea, they are talking. So talking is very important, because even hata wanasema wale walikuwa wanasema reject, not eject, they were talking. So talking is very important. The only thing Ruto should do, he should ban the whole cabinet, then they talk, they choose the best people to govern.
Okay. So you're
talking very much.
You're okay with talking, but are you okay with the talking in Bomas from Monday?
The way we are doing, we are also talking.
Okay.
Very important.
Okay. Thank you, Etienne. Jesse in Limuru.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I think time for talking already elapsed long time ago. I think right now people just want to see action. And so even the calls by the political class just shows how they are totally out of touch with what, Kenyans need. Because if you look at all the outcomes of the previous talks, there is very limited action. And when there is action, it tends to benefit more the political class. The talk of government of national unity and all that. Who will be the winners? It will be the political class. And of course, that will have an effect on the wage bill, especially right now when we are saying we need to cut costs. So I think the more the political class are talking, they are revealing themselves and how they seem to be clueless on what we need, yet what is needed is very clear. It's more of action. There hasn't been any even action to show that you are listening to what the people want. So I think right now talking, there's very little goodwill for it, because people have lost faith with it.
Okay. Thank you, Jesse. Let's hear from Victor in Nairobi. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning to you. Bonging or no?
Yeah. No, extremely no bonging.
Why?
Well, why are you bonging? And you already bonged during elections. In fact, when they say
we bonged with the votes.
Yes, we bonged with the votes. Who is selecting this panel of bongers? It is skewed already and rigged against what the Gen Z said. These issues are not the issues Gen Z said. They said futa cabinet yote,
tuende kwa uchaguzi upya. Those are not the issues wameweka hapo kwa bonging. And then is it practical? If fertilizer imeletwa ya mawe, what are we bonging about? Just arrest the thugs. So these people are taking us for a ride and buying time. So we just need to go back to the streets and occupy that bombers where they'll be bonging. If they are bonging, we are bonging all of us.
Okay. Thank you, Victor. Let's hear the comments as well coming in on X, where we're live streaming on X. We're live streaming on YouTube and Facebook as well. Let me just read a couple from X. Our live streaming on X. Silwal says, let Raila and Ruto bong if they want. The Gen Z had put the irreducible minimums to be acted on. We'll be talking for 5 to 10 years. Geshobi says, we have bonged before for so many years with no change. I wonder how this bonging will help. Tripling says, no bonging. Jimmy Gatibaru says, okay, he was talking about a different conversation. All 47 county government offices are crime scenes. Wow. EACC and DCI should swing into action. What are they saying?
Oh, okay. So, I mean, here we are, quite a lot of that. The only bonging we can have is deliberating on which route he'll be using to exit State House. Wow, okay. All these so-called leaders actually must go. Bonging for what? We want actions. The only... You've done a thing this morning, Eric. The only bonging is the route we are taking to State House. We can't bong. Imagine. Someone in Wiper Party and a member, despite statements, alisema kumaliza 5,000 of us. No. We voted for them to govern this country. If they can't, they should leave. We have a new election. No bonging. Small talks have only proved in vain. We need fruitful action. No more bonging. Wow. Dialogue when the UN. We don't have time to waste. Politicians already have jobs. The youth need to do something. If they were employed or working on projects, they wouldn't have time to be demonstrating. That's an interesting point. Constitution needs amendments to cater for current issues in the country. We deserve an updated constitution, not just an outdated draft by a past generation.
Okay.
Quite a lot here.
Okay. There's somebody who was saying bonging angoa.
Bonging what?
Bonging angoa.
What?
We are not bonging.
Bonging.
City, what do you think?
You know, the conversations must take place, huh? But this whole dialogue that we're having here began with a misstep. You cannot talk about finding a solution and then you dictate the terms of finding that solution without involving all the stakeholders. And the stakeholders here who have held the ground and who have brought about this discussion on the Gen Z, whether people like it or not, that's just a simple fact. Gen Zs and millennials.
Yep.
It is a mistake that those who have been elected into leadership forget, especially if they've been in leadership for a long time. They forget that they don't have a monopoly on ideas, neither do they have a monopoly on the way forward. Other people have to be listened to. Even if you know what is right, it is respectful to hear what other people have to say before you decide. We have a situation where a decision has been made, then you're being told this is what we've decided. How do you expect? No. What did they expect was going to be the reaction? In all honesty,
we have sat and we have agreed.
Yes,
and this is the way forward.
But what did you think was going to happen?
Come Monday, and because of the tight political situation that we are in, everybody jilipia fair.
You can find us there.
So now, okay, what did you think was going to happen when you take that view? Huh? What did you think?
A decision about the issues that you've raised.
Yes, we have made it without you.
And then now, after the fact, we're calling to tell you, oh, by the way,
let's talk about
you come and let's talk about this. And
those issues which you raised, but which you have decided how we are going to manage. Now, you tell me, how exactly do you think these people are going to
react? Do you remember the thing I said about the senses? Hearing, seeing, speaking, even touching, out of sync.
So what do you think that this is? Is it okay? Again, let's just use that word. There is tone deaf. All right? Everything else that's happening, you're hearing it in G major.
Where? This is not even tone deaf. You see this ear? This, they say, this one here is the smallest part of your ear, actually. The rest inside. I'm telling
you
that.
Where the eardrum is.
You're in the factory.
The factory has shut down.
I want a drum.
But also,
so you can see the thing, the structure of an ear.
You can see the structure, but
the thing that actually hears
inside.
The people who
lights
make
are on,
such
but nobody's
decisions
home.
actually think what they're doing is what they ought to do. When there's pushback, they have now ample reason and ample evidence to now pause and say, perhaps we need to do things differently. Because what we are seeing is people doing business as usual.
Absolutely.
And yet we are not in usual normal times. That is the thing. So the acknowledgement that this constituency has to be taken seriously, because it is even disrespectful to take those steps. Take them seriously and stop thinking of them as children. Take them seriously, because they are serious.
I think there's also the notion that some of the things that are being asked for are radical in nature. But I've always said,
They are not radical.
If you say if
Firing your cabinet is not radical.
No, but this is what I'm saying. Has it ever been done before?
Yes,
Now,
it has.
And that's what I'm saying. When it's done, everybody's met with chagrin. What would have happened? So it's radical in nature. But what do you need when something has rotted to the core? You need a radical action.
Actually, the rotting is what was radical, because you have a situation where you've elected people to manage your lives well, and the net result of that wellness is apathy, it's decay, it's decadence. How are you supposed to receive that? Those of us who are older, who are used to bending backwards and manipulating our backbones, we make them a little more flexible and we adjust. But you see, those of us who are older live with younger people in our homes.
Who can bend the back for you.
Yes, but they see what you're going through. They can see, because it also affects them directly. Yes, and at some point they figure, these old folks can't do anything. But perhaps we need to do something.
We need to help them.
And we've seen the decision that was made.
Because we also live in this house.
Yes.
Exactly. We also live here.
But that's what they're also saying.
Yeah.
We're not living in this country. We live here. We live here.
How dare you not involve us now moving forward? Our eyes, our senses are awake.
We are your largest constituency.
Yeah.
We
Can't
are.
ignore us.
We are. So how do you go around ignoring us? You have made it possible for us to have an education, to acquire skills. We are unable to use them because there's something you're not doing right. And we're simply asking, do it right, please.
Just do it right.
When you do it right, dialogue becomes easy.
Do you think that if we saw a turnaround, just really quickly, if we saw a turnaround and say, okay, the things that we are saying obviously need to be done will be done, do you think that there will be an acceptance of the same persons right now doing the things that are being asked of them? Will people say, okay, fine, you can actually stay, you can actually continue if we see you doing the right thing?
The must go chant is because you're not doing what you're expected to do. If someone, there's a little word that is often used and often misunderstood. It's called repentance. When you repent is not you say, I am sorry. It's you do the opposite of what you're doing to demonstrate that indeed you have changed your thinking and your ways. Then forgiveness then comes in. It is easy to say, you know something? Look, things are being done. We need not take the position we took before. But the problem is, what we're dealing with is people look and say, but nothing is changing here.
We have Saul who's still going to Damascus.
Yes, and then we're still being told to talk, but nothing is happening.
Nothing is happening. You're not even hearing what we've said.
Yes.
You've not seen the people who've died for this cause. You've not seen the blood that's in the streets. You've not seen the people who are missing. And then you're still coming to tell us the same thing. Oh my God, something must be wrong with you.
You're not seeing what's important to us.
No.
Yeah.
You're seeing what's important to you. Yes, and you think it should be important to us.
I think
you're in the blinding minority.
Tuesday was a very good thing for this country, I think.
Yes.
Because it brought all of them together and all of them came out in their colors. So now you can clearly see that what we've been having for a long time, which is manifesting itself as the problems that we have, is exactly this. Is the kind of mindset and mentality that has been there. Even when people were coming out onto the streets to demonstrate and carrying sufurias on their head, what they were saying is not what these guys were saying when they were joining us.
No.
Even when people were out there saying, we want this one, a Hasura is the one we want to elect, the Hasura. What the Hasuras were saying they were electing is not what these guys were saying.
It's not what they got. No.
It's not what this guy was selling.
Yes.
This